The following podcast is a part of RadioMisfits.com. And now it's time for the Mr. Nailsin Show.
Although you mentioned Erock, I look at he was pushing for Peter Dinklage to be the new Doctor. And he was serious about
Wait, what was... There was something that was just announced that Peter Dinklage was cast in, and he's not the right size for it, but apparently it seems to... like they saw the teaser for it, and it looks like it's working. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, there was something that they just said Peter Dinklage is in, and he's too short to be the character. Let's see what it is. Hunger Games? No. Toxic Avenger.
Oh, is he the Toxic Avenger?
He's in the new. He's Winston in the Toxic Avenger. And you're like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. But okay, let's see where that goes.
We're reimagining it.
Yeah, and then there's a couple other projects that's coming into it. Yeah, there was. It might have been the Toxic Avenger trailer. Go and watch that, and you're like, holy shit, that's Peter Dinklage. And you're thinking this is wrong, but you watch and you're like, okay, all right, I'm curious. I'll give it a shot. I'll see what they're doing with it. Let me ask you this then.
Okay.
If they nix this Doctor after his second season, he announced at Comic-Con that he does not have a contract signed to continue on. Now that could be just hype and speculation like they like to do, or it could be a fact that Disney goes, we're going to wait to see how this second season goes before we consider investing any more of our money into this. If they go to reboot, recast, rechange everything for the Doctor, who do you think? Because it's one thing to fill the shoes of a previous Doctor that was very beloved. Like Matt Smith had a lot to deal with David Tennant. Yeah. And then Peter Capaldi coming in was a complete juxtaposition to Matt Smith being the young guy and Peter Capaldi being the old guy now. But that worked too. Who do you think could fill the shoes of the role for the Doctor if they get rid of this guy?
The damage is so bad. It would have to be new hands as well. I mean, it wouldn't just be the actor. They would, for people to even give it a shot.
All that aside, like
but
say they're going to put a new showrunner.
Michael Sheen's name comes up a lot.
I've heard that.
He might be able, and that's one of the things. If there was a way to orchestrate it where it would be more specials rather than an ongoing series, where you have people who might not want to make the commitment to a series, where you could do a handful of episodes and regenerate them to someone else, something of that nature. He could probably. He's been a popular one mentioned around. I've seen him in a couple of things. I say, yeah, okay, he could probably do it. Mark Strong gets a lot of villain roles. A lot of people want him to be Lex Luthor and stuff, and I can see why. But he could probably do it as well. There's a couple others that names escape me every now and then. You always see this different.
We've never had a bald Doctor. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. You could just don't give him the wig. Just let him be bald.
Dr. Picard, you can call him. Yeah.
But all the time, there's different actors that'll show up on a show, and I think, yeah, he could make a good Doctor. He can make it, that kind of thing. It's highly unlikely the way they are and so far up the ass of this cult that they would even allow themselves to go back to form. The idea
if they get it out of the BBC's hands.
Yeah, if you could do that.
If they can maintain some licensing or ownership, or say it gets bought out completely. Because, if you can read up on this, the BBC is giving less and less of a fuck about television. Yeah. It used to be, if you don't know how British TV works, they have to pay for a license to have a television. And then BBC, all the properties are government funded. So it's not like you're watching NBC or ABC. It's, say, PBS had the budget of NBC. That's what you're watching, and that's what they dictate. And up until, a couple decades ago when, ITV, Channel 4, all those things started to emerge and become competition.
Happened. Damn it.
If they get it out of the hands of the BBC, then I think it has a chance to just hey, we're going to go back to basics or go back to what's work and let's get an older Doctor or get something more symbolic of the Doctor back in there.
Yeah.
Because this experiment has not worked.
No.
So
No.
we need to go back. I've said on a few shows now, because I asked that question to people who are fans of the show, who would you like to see, and not just eventually be the Doctor, because there's plenty of other people. Like I posted something, I think you responded or liked it or something like that, where it was a photo of Becky Lynch in this old kind of tweed kind of suit.
That does sound familiar.
And I said, hear me out, somewhere down the line. Becky Lynch as the Doctor is not terrible. She's got an attitude. She's got a mouth on her. She can be, from wrestling, we can see that she could punch people. She could be an asshole if she needs to. She might be good somewhere down the line as a Doctor. Yeah. But the Doctor, to replace this one in an attempt to fix it, I've always thought Eddie Redmayne would be a good Doctor.
Yeah.
And if you watch the Fantastic Beasts movies, he's already being the Doctor.
I mean, he kind of looks like an alternate Matt Smith Doctor in that,
right. And he takes care of another Doctor Who issue of being ginger, because the Doctor always wanted to be ginger.
They kept teasing it, never delivered.
Right. So you could have him. He's quirky. He dresses formal but bad.
Yeah.
It's always kind of he needs a woman to dress him up a little better. But that's where that's the pocket the Doctor should be in. It's like he doesn't have the woman's touch.
Right.
And
he
that's
doesn't
where
quite
he
know how to get it right.
That's how he should be dressed. Yeah. But he's in there, he's got the quirkiness, the awkwardness, he's got the dialogue for it. The ginger hair. I think he would be a good fit for being the Doctor.
Yeah.
But
that could work out,
white guy.
But that's it. Happen. That's it. Would they? If the desperation of sooner or later you guys got to make money. I don't know that it depends on what the deal is. There's some sugar daddy could come in and buy it outright. Then maybe
at this point sell it to the Arabs. Or
I know
an oil company. Somebody buy it.
Could do a better job.
And this just imagine an Arab oil company comes in there and goes, none of this shit. Those last two seasons, we're deleting them.
No.
We're going to make an episode that Capaldi worked into this guy.
Right.
This is the way we're going forward. And you know what? In any other case, I would be like, fuck them.
Yeah.
But in this one, I'm like, no. Let's hear them out. I want to hear I want to see how this plays out.
That's the thing. Narratively speaking, there's ways to save all of these. It's just a matter of how damaged the brand is. With Doctor Who and Star Trek as well, they've delved in, with, of course, Doctor Who, time travel and stuff and shenanigans like that. They've dealt with multiverse and all. You could use that. I'm sick to death of it now. But you could use that as a fix. And
Doctor Who
this
rarely
goes off at another
ever did
timeline.
multiverse stuff.
Very rarely, not like
Very
Star
rarely.
Trek did. But
there was
a couple
two instances that I know of in the last 20 years. And one was when Rose got sucked into the other dimension.
Right.
And the other was the pocket dimension to hide Gallifrey, so that the Daleks
There's
can
that,
find it.
and then the Flux mentions it because that was.
I don't even acknowledge that. So
I know.
That's why I'm not.
But at least they mentioned it. And I said, "Here's your chance to write it off that none of this matters." And back in the old series, John Pertwee went to an alternate universe in the series Inferno. So, they rarely dealt with it. But it's kind of odd because with time travel and the theories of timelines and stuff, you could have something of that nature.
But Doctor Who was simple. It's all a flat line, and you just slide back and forth. Oh, now you're in, where the dinosaurs are. Oh, now you're in the Ice Age. Oh, now you're in where everybody's a robot. It's like you're going through all of these things. It's just moving back and forth like an elevator.
Yeah.
And it was simple, an easy premise. It wasn't that hard to understand. And then when he gets out of the elevator, the TARDIS, there's the new department floor that he's like, all right, let's see what this is going to be here. And then leave all the craziness and the complexity to the stories in the world that he's in, not the fact that he's moving between points in time. That's the easy part. Stop making the easy part difficult.
And also let the stories breathe. They keep harping on the Doctor himself, rewriting his story, all that stuff, and making it like to where the actual adventure or whatever it is barely there anymore.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I will say this. There was a couple of stories this season that were not bad, that had potential to be great.
Yeah.
But this is where I got a lot of shit for. The wrong actor was portraying that. It was the wrong doctor personality for those stories.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yes.
There's certain stories that work for other
or
doctors.
not given the opportunity to do it,
Right. There are certain stories that work because it played to that doctor's personality and that doctor's strengths or whatever was going on.
Right.
If you had switched the doctor out for a different doctor and put him in that time, it probably wouldn't have worked because that doctor wasn't meant for that story.
Yeah.
I felt these stories were not meant for this doctor. The Bridgerton one, yes, that was totally meant for this
he's the
doctor.
only doctor who could do that.
That would have worked with this. Anybody else, like imagine Peter Capaldi just standing there kind of like,
my God.
like he's afraid to touch anything in the apartment because it's all dirty.
Yeah, he didn't want to
touch. The music episode. I know everybody made a big deal about the trans actress. Portraying
they made him the villain, so I'm like,
yeah, right, whatever. Made it. The guy. That story was fine. It was fine
for the most part. Yeah,
that doctor was not the right guy to react to all that. At one point, he's walking around. Oh my God, the god! Like he's terrified of these gods for some reason.
Yeah.
So he's not like the doctor can be concerned and terrified, but they don't sit there and go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, like that. Like Tennant would sit there, stone-faced, and kind of maybe move back for a little bit and not say anything. Yeah. And then it would take a while before you saw what was going through his head play out. This guy freaks over everything. So he wasn't the right doctor for that thing. The fucking Muppet pirate flying things or whatever, goblin things was a terrible story. Space Babies was a terrible story. The one, and this is why probably everybody who's found this as a favorite because Shudi's not in the entire episode.
Yeah, he's not there.
The 73 yards is a great story. That could have been a Matt Smith and Amy Pond story. Like that could have been Amy Pond in that role, which she sort of was in that role when she got left in that. I guess. Oh yeah, right.
She was.
Thing.
Yeah.
She was left in that one. She went in the wrong door and she aged in this.
Well, she was stuck there for years, and
she was like in a back. The game, the back rooms. She was like in the back rooms dimension while she was hiding from monsters and all that shit. That could have been an Amy Pond thing. That could have been a Matt Smith story. That could have been a couple other different doctor stories fitting in there. Would have worked. So that story was good. The music story was good.
And the sense of its atmospherics is very good. It was very surreal, but there's no payoff in it.
Even the bubble story.
Yeah, the bubble story had some interesting aspects to it.
The monsters that were eating the people was ridiculous. That is definitely an RTD trait for the big rubber suit kind of monsters. I know that's also a Doctor Who thing as well.
Yeah, it is.
But we didn't need to revisit that when technology has advanced. Once
everybody's
in a while,
made the gag about you're too absorbed.
But then the whole takeaway was is that, oh, she's racist because she's white.
Just slapped on.
And he's like, let me help you. And she's like, no, thank you.
Oh,
and then he sat there crying and all this stuff because he's like, they're going off to their deaths. How many times has the Doctor or any other movie, you're right and you're telling them and they will say, they insist no, and they go off on their own and that they're ill-fated for this world. That's all it was. He should have just sat there and just been distraught. He could have been distraught. He could have been, he could say he was heartbroken. He's like, I'm trying to help, and they wouldn't let me because of something so small. And so that's how they present it. They've done that in other episodes about race, where he goes, they're just so small-minded. They couldn't see that, the bigger picture for this because they're
but the overall story didn't really establish it until all of a sudden. By the way, they're all racist. That's why they're all white people in this bubble world.
Yeah, they're all white supremacists. They're all rich kids from rich families that were isolated, but that's the whole story. These monsters were coming to kill prejudice and bigotry and racism and kill all of these people. And you're like, wait, so you're telling that in the last 2 minutes? That's what this whole story was about. It's like, I thought it was about technology and how it devours your mind, and then you don't know what's going around you. So you get hit by a car, you get shot, somebody stabs you, robs you, you fall off a building or something like that because you're all involved and so entrenched in social media. And that wasn't the case. It was like, because they're white. So all of this meant nothing except like the technology thing. It was like Doctor Who was doing their own Black Mirror episode.
It was, yes, yeah,
and it worked.
They were, yeah,
up until that end.
And it actually had an interesting twist to it, where she suddenly portrays the guy that she had a crush on, who was the pop star of the place. and just lets him get killed. And she deliberately got him killed to save her own ass. And I thought, wow, I didn't
even
really...
that was fine too, because that shows a lot of people online and these influencers and
that they're
content creators where they all think that they're all about these people, and then you see why they all are getting killed or committing suicide or getting arrested, or because you find out behind all of this stuff they're putting in front of you, they're terrible people hiding by this mask of social media. That would have been the reveal. It's like, oh, she's a terrible person. Right. She let that guy get killed because it has to be about her. Had they gone off that she's still going to be selfish, she's still going to post online, she's going to... That's just the story of the time.
And that could have been the sad thing about it. After all the effort, she didn't learn anything. And the doctor's like,
where we thought it was.
Nothing we can
right
do.
Until they got on the boat. And he's like, come stay with me. Now, she could have just like, I don't know you. I can't go with you. It's like, even that line where you knew where it was going, but she said, I can't go with you. And it could have just been an upper class, lower class thing, because the Brits love that stuff all the time. So it's like they're too pompous and too rich to be... seen around the doctor and not Rose, I forgot her name, the companion there, and just go. Ruby, it's like, it's just like, well, you're not good enough to be around with us. You don't have enough money or some social status. We've seen that before, and like, all right, because and then she's like, and then he realized, oh, it's because you're black. That we're not going to do anything. So we'd rather die than come with you, even though the white girl's with you. We feel bad for her, but.
It was stupid.
They're so pandering.
They can't help themselves, So that was about it. So even in there might be a good spark here and there. And these Jodie's had a couple episodes that weren't too bad. Some of them were almost actual Doctor Who episodes and that kind of thing. But it's almost like another stab in the side, because it's like, you see, we could do it. But we're not
she had two episodes that stood out to me. One was that episode they were in like a cabin and it looked like the whole house was built from IKEA.
That one. Yeah,
that one episode, that one was pretty good. And then I think in the first season when they did the Ghost Monument, where they were in essentially like it
ended up being the TARDIS, but the one that was supposed to be a take on Amazon turned out to be all right. And it was
I forgot about that one. Yeah, that one wasn't too bad too.
And it was odd because
they had a few.
I expected Amazon to be the villain, and it wasn't.
It was the consumer. The consumers are the villain.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's just kind of a kick in the nuts. We could do good shows, but we're not gonna do it. So we're just gonna tease you, and then pull the football out from it, like Lucy and Charlie Brown. Yeah. So it's sad. You have my sympathies. I really wish the show could continue, barring some sugar daddy coming in and taking.
Who knows?
It. Yeah, look, who knows?
I get told a lot all the time from people that know that I love the show, or when I post things online. If you hate it so much, why are you watching it? Now you could say like the old Howard Stern line from Private Parts, because you want to see what they're going to do next, and that's part of it.
Yeah,
but. It's when you don't like something, and for doing a show, when you don't like something, it helps to watch, read, research everything like as if you did like it. Do all your fact finding and information digging. Do all of that stuff so that when you go to present your case and why you don't like it, because it sucks. Well, that's not a good enough argument. Why don't you? All right, here's 7 examples of why, like the back and forth we had. You watch it, I watch it. We're not happy with it, but we need to know why we're not happy with it so we can have these kinds of discussions, right? And maybe convince people that this is wrong, or maybe, just maybe, they have information that we don't and can convince us, hey, maybe I'm wrong on this thing.
Right.
You need to have that information. So if you don't like something, you should know as much as you can about it to explain why you don't like something. So whenever I do that, and they're like, all right, one person asked me this. We know you don't like it. When is it enough to know that you don't like it? And that I don't have an answer for, because I should have an answer. I'm like, yeah, I know all this stuff. I should be done with it. But I'll watch the Christmas episode that's coming out with my fingers crossed. I'm still deluded that maybe something happens. I'm going to watch the new season just to see what's going on with that too. And then I want to watch what happens at the end of that. If Disney says, goodbye.
Yeah.
Or if Disney just announced, hey, we just bought it from the BBC because they can't. If we walked away, they can't afford to do this show anymore. Yeah. So we bought it for pennies on the dollar, and we're going to do what we need to do with it.
I maybe they would. I just don't know what's the advantage to them if it's not performing, which by all accounts it doesn't look like it is.
Because it's still a worldwide brand. It still has a lot of popularity in America, even though, look, people are hating it and shit talking it, but it's still trending. It's still being watched. It's still whatever. People are focusing on it, be it positive or negative. That's what. When you have a YouTube video, you want the comments, even if they're all shitting on you. It's showing engagement and interaction.
Yeah,
that there's people there.
Yeah.
So it feeds algorithms and all that other stuff. So it shows that it's worth the money. For you spend millions of dollars on this thing. People hate. Yes, we get 8 million people a week hating this thing, and we're making a killing for ad revenue and streaming and all of that stuff. Maybe they can see the value in this thing and the IP alone. If they just started putting, I know they did it once for a promotional thing. But imagine if they had like a Doctor Who portion at Epcot Center, something like that. It would fit in there. You have TARDISes in different parks around the world, and that's making money for them. It's an IP that would make money for them.
It's obviously not making the money enough to go into that. It could if you turned it around. Now, like if they were going to do that. Now, looking at what they've done with Star Wars, I'm not hopeful. Maybe they're trying to. Maybe they'll save Marvel.
They would have a better shot than most. Yeah. If they took it away, if the BBC is willing to part ways with it, or they buy it out. Yeah. Maybe Disney went into this thing saying, we've seen for years people love this product. We know the renowned fan base for it, the history. We're going to take a shot in investing, and not knowing that this is what RTD was doing with this stuff here, right?
Apparently. I mean,
well, Disney can't shit on it publicly because that doesn't help their business at all. But they can behind the scenes go, hey, you, and then pull them by the collar and when behind closed doors. You fucked this up. You're fucking with my money. Yeah. I am taking this away from you. It's like the fuck you pay me moment. It's like, I don't care that they didn't like your message. I don't care if you think the actor's fantastic and people come around. They're not paying for this stuff. You owe me my money. I am taking this property from you. It could be that way. Disney, I wouldn't put it past Disney for doing that. Yeah. But I think they would have a better shot than any to take that property and try to fix it. Do movies, do full feature films, do all kinds of stuff that Disney does, and see where they go with it. Because BBC is just not giving a fuck about it anymore. They're like, we got our money. Do what you're going to do. The contract's done and the check's cashed. So,
well, that money's not forever. It could be.
It is for Disney. It's forever.
So, good luck. I'm dubious of the potential for a solution. And another thing is one of the things about it is like, well, I'm in my mid-50s now. And waiting for one of these, because that's another kick in the nuts, was that I was promised new Star Wars, new Star Trek, new Doctor Who, and it all went down the toilet. It was all a lie. And let's say in 10 years somebody gets it right, but by then I'm like, geez, I'll look at it if I'm still around. Yeah. But that's the thing, is like there's a certain amount of time. Plus, you're losing time on a potential new fan base you could have cultivated on all of these things, and now it's got this stitch about it, and that's going to linger. It's an irradiated landscape, even when it's not really a woke episode or anything like that. They're just going to think it is. And that kind of thing is going to last. Yeah, it's going to last for a while. It makes it much. They've created.
They got
They've got a Mount Everest hill to climb.
That's what I was just going to say. They've got an uphill battle with this. But if again Disney's willing to take a shot on that, they don't give a fuck about what people think of it. If they're going to try a new direction, they're just going to do it. No one's going to stop them from doing it, and it'll be up to the audience whether they continue doing it. But again, they don't care if they have their sights set on something and like, we're determined to make this work. Yeah, they've got the capital, and they've got the personnel to do it. So we'll see what the next season brings, and hopefully somebody stops this crazy thing and we can get off and walk around the park for a little bit, get something to eat, and then come back to the ride when they've rebuilt it, and then go, wow, this is kind of what I remember, or I like this new direction. Let's go back on this ride and see how it goes.
It's like Deadpool and Wolverine, because everybody was like the superhero fatigue and Marvel's dead and all this sort of stuff. There's still an audience there.
There's still an audience. They did this a little differently. They kept it. I know some people wanted to see Deadpool show up in, somewhere with the Avengers or one of the main characters, something going on.
Yeah. It's
an adjacent movie to the MCU because they can't just walk him right in, even though they own it. They got to ease him in.
Yeah.
So this was a way of doing it, of taking care of the Fox timeline, giving everybody their due diligence and a more appropriate, respectful ending to some of these characters who were mismanaged. And Fox didn't give a fuck about seeing, this as a universe. They just saw it as individual IP, and if it works, it works. It doesn't. It was a nice goodbye letter to the Fox world with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then even the bit of a spoiler, if you haven't seen Deadpool,
I have. So
one, I was trying to give your audience, something. They're like, oh fuck, turn it off. The end credit scene was not a tease towards something going on with Marvel, like they always do. This was a nice bookend to shut off this story.
That's what that is. Yeah,
I won't give that away, but it's like, hey, something you saw in the movie, let me explain that. And then they explained it, and then they're like, see you later and goodbye. That was the bookend to cap off the Fox world, that Deadpool saga, whatever. Mm-hmm. And now we know for a fact, again, San Diego Comic-Con told us a lot. We know Fantastic Four is going to be in the Avengers movies. We know Deadpool will now be in the Avengers movies.
Right.
So there's still ways to go where they work him into the mainstream, the bigger picture
which is
of what Marvel's doing.
Did. Yeah.
You don't just throw him in now. This was great how they did it. I know people have a problem with the storytelling. It's like it wasn't. Some of it didn't make any sense. The plot was weak. Fuck you. Who cares? It was a fun movie. You need movies like that sometimes.
You need them to be fun. Yeah.
And just enjoy yourself. And everyone did. And for all you naysayers, all these people out there that think they're movie critics, when movie critics don't mean anything to the world anymore, they go and they say this stuff. It's like, that movie is the largest grossing R-rated movie of all time.
Yeah.
All time. So they did something right. Apparently people didn't care that much. They wanted to go and have a good time and have fun and enjoy superhero stuff again. You could say the fatigue and whatever, all that stuff. Yeah. This shows that there isn't fatigue. There was just disappointment between Endgame and now. Things were not hitting the right way.
It's bad superhero movie fatigue.
Yes. Now when this is going on, that's going to do well for the next property that comes up in September, that Agatha series, which looks like a horror.
Yeah, I'm not optimistic about it, depending on what they did. I thought WandaVision was really cool, and then it got completely derailed. Feige couldn't help but brag that was him because he suddenly realized Doctor Strange was a white male.
I think Agatha has a shot because it seems a little Law and Order-ish, and then like the second half of it is all horror instead of the courtroom drama.
If they went full horror with it,
right?
Yeah,
it seems cool. It seems like they're going in that direction.
Because I did like that Werewolf by Night movie they did.
I loved that.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
I loved it in the black and white. I thought was great, even though they then like, oh, we're going to put a color version out. It's like I never saw the color version.
I didn't buy. Me neither. Yeah,
I had no idea. Had no interest, no idea, but no interest in seeing the color version because I enjoyed the black and white movie.
Yeah,
it was a throwback to the monster movies, the Universal stuff like there, and it looked fantastic. It had some elements of Clue in there without the comedy, what was hidden in different rooms and who did this. I loved the whole thing. It was a great one-off. Maybe if it was another Halloween tradition, maybe they did a second story or something.
Right.
Fantastic, too. But it was good being an isolated story. Doesn't need to mix with everything else. Was fantastic. The Godzilla movie that came out, I don't know if you saw Godzilla
Minus One?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loved it in color.
Yeah.
And I bought the black and white version. I haven't watched it yet, but I want to go watch it in black and white because they shot it as if it was the old 1950s movie. Yeah. And that is
post World
fantastic.
War, the era for it. So that was really good. And then I saw the the second Kong and Godzilla movie. And yeah, I mean, the Kong story was okay. The rest of it,
as dumb as that was, where he had like the Thanos gauntlet.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And all that stuff. One thing they did right in that Godzilla King Kong movie is the thing we've all been screaming out about for the last several movies. The humans in the monster movie are the worst part of the movie. They're just there to set up the story, and they're people movers, or they move the monsters into positions,
right,
for shit to happen. Then they need to step back and let the monsters do whatever they do. They can be from a building and going, "Holy shit, that building!"
Reacting, but other than
that's fine.
Yeah,
you're not flying a helicopter in the middle of Fenway Stadium while Godzilla and a three-headed space dragon are fighting and fire's flying all over the place, and you're going to rescue your daughter who's crouched down on the pitcher's mound and then fly out of there unscathed. Like, who cares about the love interest?
Yeah.
Who cares about the family story? Who cares about all this stuff? You want to see the monsters fight, and you want some terror and some action and enjoy that. Yeah. That last Godzilla King Kong movie, there were some goofy parts in there. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But they dramatically decreased the human involvement in all this. Except one part where they go, King Kong's arm is broken. Hey, we've been working on this. Threw the fucking Nintendo Power Glove on him and then slapped him on the ass and like, go get him, Tiger. And he goes back in there. And then the rest of the movie, they're in this, Middle Earth. They're fighting plants and other animals, dinosaurs, all this shit's going on. And you're seeing the A story with Godzilla and this thing, and the B story with King Kong and that thing going on.
Yeah.
Like, you're watching all the stories happening. No humans are involved. They're off to the side flying in their spaceship like, ooh, look at all that shit going on. That's how it should be. So, yeah, it was goofy, but if they've learned and they're going to continue with like minimal human involvement, just let the monsters be ridiculous and go crazy, they'll keep making millions of dollars by doing that. And you want the serious kind of monster movies, let the, what is it, Toho, whatever the company is in Japan
Toho,
that owns it,
owns it.
Let them make the serious movies. That's not for you to worry about. They can exist in different periods. Not everything has to be together.
Right.
So.
And, yeah, for that one, the Kong storyline kind of carried the movie for me. I mean, it was, and of course, it had the thing where he basically adopts the little giant ape.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Jr. and all of that. But the rest of it, I expected it anyway. But -1, that's a classic already.
It's fantastic.
It's
and everybody was like, well, it was only made for like $10 million. How good is it going to be? Really? It made $1 billion.
Oh, man, there's
from a $10 million budget.
Yeah. Such a powerful lesson there, that all this money that's blown away on these things. And a lot of times you don't even see it on the screen, which I suspect there's money laundering going on.
One of the most terrifying things I've ever seen in a monster movie was in that Godzilla movie, when he's following the wooden boats and he just see like part of his mouth and his nose and his eyes.
Yeah.
And he's just going back and forth like a snake behind him. Then later on, when they kind of like tried to not nuke him, but whatever bomb they were using, and it like burnt his skin and everything, he comes up out of the water. He's like blue-gray and his eyes are pure white and his teeth are out like that. And you're going, that is one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen in a monster movie. And I know that thing isn't real, but look how terrifying that thing is, because he's half burnt. He's pissed. And he's just like one heartbeat away from dying. And you're just like, oh, my God, you fucked with the wrong monster. And then you can watch the rest of the movie. But, yeah, those two scenes of that monster look so much better than any other monster thing we've seen in so long. Oh, yeah. And they were very practical, too.
Yes. Yeah,
I don't know if it was the rubber suit guy that they enhanced or whatever, or if they did motion capture or something.
I imagine there was a little bit of it, but for the most part, practical effects.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it just looked incredible. And so we can't wait to see what else this guy does. They said they want to hire him for a Star Wars movie. I'm like,
no.
I mean, leave him alone.
If they were smart, they would go, hey, any of these other companies would go like, hey, we have some monsters that we used back in the day that might not be anything anymore. If you want to take a crack at it, like if that guy took a crack at I don't know, something like Creature of the Black Lagoon or something like that. One of those old classic things. Which reading the story is not anywhere near scary by today's standards, but letting them figure out a way to make it practical and almost real.
Yes,
like that. The Fog. creature you never saw and something like that. Yeah, go ahead, take a shot at that. See what you can come up with.
Right. Yeah, because just the creative juices is sorely lacking in a lot of Hollywood productions. So you need one of these talents rises up, but just don't ruin it and weigh him down with rules and whatnot for your cult, and you might get something. Yeah. So there's hope. There are things out there. I don't know about Doctor Who, but narratively speaking, yes, it is possible. Star Wars, I'm not so certain. But
did you like Acolyte or no?
I didn't. There was some of the elements of it as like it didn't bother me as much as I thought.
It had potential, and then
there was just so much. Yeah, if you took it just as a Jedi murder mystery, I think you could have had a fairly decent show.
Even the twin story, if you just left, where did the twins come from? Why? What was going on? And you don't really get into it in the first 3 episodes, and then it's a witch's coven, and then we need to have a chant. They came up with that chant thinking it was going to be trending online. They were going to have merchandise with that shit on there. Well, yeah, it was for the wrong reason. That they had hoped, but they were going to have T-shirts and stickers and all that stuff. It's going to be everywhere, and everyone went, "This is fuck you" with all this stuff. No one cared about it. If you would have kept it as the one twin's trying to kill all these Jedi, and then the other twins, you think is good, might be bad. You don't know what's going on, and kept it that way, and then brought in the guy from The Good Place later as the Sith, instead of, I forgot his name, but he was the guy in The Good Place. It was all about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and
I didn't see Good Place.
Really, all right. It's a good show, but he's really aloof and comical in that thing. So when you see him as the big reveal, they telegraphed that reveal.
Oh yeah,
2 episodes before that happened, and then even when it's like, "Oh, I'm coming with you," because you're the guy, so you need to be there while this is going on. Got it. And then the reveal, the helmet. Yeah, we kind of knew it was you. It was no big.
But in the laziness with the, and of course you got to understand with fandoms like this, they're going to know minute details, to the smallest fraction. Yeah, and so of course you have characters in there who weren't born yet and all this type of stuff.
They always seem to negate. Like, I know you can't always cater to fan service, and you can't always cater to every specific detail from a book or a comic or whatever, because sometimes it just doesn't translate when you're trying to,
and you're gonna
bring it to life.
Yeah.
So you got to make some changes that seem practical, or it's like, look, we had to do it this way because there was no way to do it in the storyline that it was there. People are willing to forgive things if there's a legitimate reason as to why things couldn't happen. When you go in there, it's like, we just felt we needed to change. Everyone's going to be like, fuck you. You're touching essentially these people's Bibles that you're messing with, right? If they can find a way to do more things where they, like you said, the small details, the little things, and not like just Easter eggs, but just little details that mean something to people, or for the development of a situation or of a location or of a person. You just do your research, put in there, instead of, the mass public doesn't really know a lot about this thing, so we're trying to the best way we can to tell them about the story. Right. But those little details don't take much more time to put things in the background, or he has a certain tattoo on his hand, or the reason why there's a scar on this helmet over there, to make it as accurate as you possibly can. And then if they say, well, you missed this one thing, but look at the 900 other things we put in there, the audience is going to be forgiving.
Right.
It's like, it looks like you cared. It looks like you took the time to respect the material and respect the audience that comes with that material, and then try to include a whole new bunch of people that have never seen a Star Wars property before, or Marvel comic book or any of that stuff, and you try to bring them in and say, hey, look, we want to include you on this. Yeah, there's a lot of things you may not going to know, but we're in a time where immediately after you see a movie or TV show, there's a million videos on YouTube breaking down the ending, the Easter eggs you might have missed, why this character showed up instead of this character.
You know this.
So the audience can do their own research too. It doesn't need to be like, well, we just saw the movie, and it's not like we don't have like the 70s into the 80s when you didn't have a VCR, you didn't have all this stuff. Yeah. You didn't have, unless a friend in school knew what was going on, you had to make up your own assumptions as to what was going on until maybe 3 years later when the next movie came out, and then you get to see what happens. Now it's, all right, before I go into the movie, how many credit scenes are there? Okay, there's 2. Right. Okay, so I know to say, so I'm not leaving. It's like, all right, well, I got to sit through the credits because there's one at the end, or there's one in the middle, and then I could go. Great, I can leave right after that. Or when's the best time to go to the bathroom during this movie? And you say, well, when this scene comes on, they're just explaining, very minute details for about 5 minutes. So you can run then. And you go, perfect. I'm going to run and go during that time. You have it all there. Do your own research for this shit too. And the people who make this stuff, just take the time to do your research and put those little things in there just to show that you actually give a shit about the thing that you're making. Right. I know it's about money. I'm not dumb. I know it all comes down to money and the money you're going to make. But you can also, those little extra steps will ensure that you have more money down the line than you will instantly. But nobody thinks that way.
So. No, and they've put themselves in a position to where you can cry that it's unfair to nitpick on everything. But at this point, they've done such a bad job overall that
these people have a right to nitpick over this.
Right,
stuff.
They do, and they have it's like a hyper a visual of it now to where you're looking for it, and that's their own making. And it's something like this with Acolyte. Had it just been its own thing and a story, I don't even care about the witches. You can have witches have force powers and all that, but to retcon narratives and whatnot, and the whole thing about the prophecy of Anakin, and now you had these other twins who were created completely out of the Force and stuff like that, and apparently now insinuating that Darth Plagueis stole the idea from these ladies and so on and so forth. And I'm like, no, stop doing that. You're lazy.
He stole it from those witches. The astronauts could not have gone to space if it wasn't for like 3 or 4 women who were doing proofreading of the math calculations that the scientists were doing. Like I said, what was the George Clooney? I just mentioned it earlier and I can't think of it. Ocean's 11.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Ocean's 8 was the prequel because George Clooney was doing something else there, but they're showing you how you do it. And it's like, oh, The Fugitive Doctor. The Fugitive Doctor was before the first Doctor, and that really showed what
that whole
I never
thing.
acknowledged.
See, that's another thing where they end up, you wanted to show off, look, I've cast the first Black Doctor, which everyone forgets. They keep saying that this guy is the first Black Doctor. And the only viable way, I thought, was just have her be Jodie's successor. But they didn't even think it through. They just wanted that one moment to have the headlines of first Black Doctor.
That Doctor was somewhere between the first Doctor and the kid that was discovered, and apparently the 100 of different incarnations of that person before he decided to be the Doctor.
And somehow got a police box and then forgot that happened.
And grew up as a kid on Gallifrey with the Master being his best friend in school and all that stuff. But meanwhile, all of this stuff was before it.
It's so awful. It's so stupid.
So terrible.
And that's why I say it's Last Jedi level destruction of the lore. It's the type of thing you cannot keep that there if you want to continue it. But that's the way it is. So again, you have my sympathies. It's a sad thing. But it was a great show. It lasted a very long time. You think that would tell people something of how special it is, and just basically survived most of the time on its charm, which Doctor Who had in droves. So rest in peace, Doctor Who. I miss you. I wish you weren't gone, but I'm afraid.
You should make that a hashtag. I think that'll go somewhere.
I think that might work. All right. Thanks for visiting me on the Nailsin Show, Erik. And people can catch It's Erik Nagel. He's got it on YouTube, but it's also your show from iHeartRadio, right?
Right, yeah. The show is meant for iHeartRadio, but the video stuff goes on our YouTube. So the audio stuff, iHeartRadio app and Apple, Spotify, those places, you can get it there. The video version, or as we do the show live, you can find us on YouTube at It's Erik Nagel. And we also do it on Twitch too, but Twitch is just it's its own other universe of nonsense.
Right.
Don't even bother promoting it anymore.
I don't. It's looking like Twitch's days might be numbered as well. I'm not sure. But these things
they overcomplicate everything, and then they go, "Wait, where did everybody go?" Well, you're an asshole, so we decided to leave. Which seems to be the whole theme of this whole episode.
I know.
Stop being an asshole, and the people won't leave.
If you are an asshole, figure out a way to cover that up.
Right.
Save it for the ones you know and love.
I have to say, you know, I catch your show here and there, and I always love the fact that you dress like this old timey news guy, like you're a beat reporter.
Yes.
Or sometimes you look like Herb from WKRP, the sales guy. Yeah.
I need to get some of those jackets.
Yeah, he had amazingly terrible jackets, but on him they looked like they
worked
fit him.
for him. Like,
yeah, it worked for him. Anybody else would look like, what are you doing? But on the brown and orange, yeah, that fits Herb perfectly.
That's his Doctor Who outfit.
That is. Thank you,
All
man.
right, Erik.
Thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. It was great talking to you. And maybe I'll come up with another subject matter and we can do it again sometime.
Sure, whatever you like. Or I'm sure the comments in here that the audience hates me, so that's fine.
Yeah, I know.
It's all good.
Sorry you get to put through that, but I guess
that's fine. Either I'm completely useless and do nothing, but the second something goes wrong, why isn't Erock fixing it? Why isn't Erock taking care of it? So I'm like, wait, do I do everything or do I not do anything? I can't be both.
Yes. Somehow the failure of Doctor Who is your fault.
Sure, I'll gladly accept that at this point. Why not?
Okay.
The waves crash like thunder, and those minds, the coffin wonder. Listen, Nailsin like bars in the night, truth and madness fuse in the twilight. Stars are singing secrets in the waves and the breaks. The Nailsin sees the world in outer space. Past the horizon where the unknown dwells. Mr. Nailsin laughs to the ringing bells. Catch the eye with Mr. Nailsin show. Surf the stream where the wild winds blow. Got Nailsin taking far and wide. Buckle up, it's a freaky ride.
The views and opinions expressed during the Mr. Nailsin Show not necessarily reflect those held by RadioMisfits.com. So, any complaints and or comments should be sent to @Mr. Nailsin on Twitter, where they will be promptly ignored and blocked.
Done Nailsin, master of the cosmic dance. Ocean tales untold. Listen, Nailsin, lives the legends bold. Dive into the upper depths tonight. Don Nailsin cracks the secrets light.
We all change. When you think about it, we're all different people all through our lives. And that's okay, that's good, you've got to keep moving so long as you remember all the people that you used to be. I will not forget one line of this. Not one day. I swear. I will always remember when the Doctor was me.